Hey guys, what's up? It's Darla. Today I just wanted to come and talk to you guys about your birth plan. I just wanted to kind of break it down for you, let you know what's realistic, what's not realistic, and what we do specifically in the hospital setting. I'm not speaking about home births in this video, and I'm not speaking about if you're planning on giving birth in a birthing center. I just want to specifically focus on in the hospital setting. So to give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I have been since 2018. I did step away for a year to go to the ER and then came back anyways. So that's my background, and I'm also a mom to a 10-month-old little boy. So I have gone through labor and the delivery process myself. So anyways, first I want to tell you guys that when you're making your birth plans, please keep in mind that things do not always go as planned. There is so much unknown that we cannot possibly predict that's going to specifically happen in your situation. So just try to keep an open mind, and for your main goal to be to have a healthy baby and a healthy mama. That is our personal goal. Also, we would like everyone to be able to have a vaginal delivery. That's also our goal if you are a candidate for that. But anyways, I wanted to go ahead and put that out there. Please be open-minded when you're making your birth plans. Don't stick to it and say, I only want this. I want to walk around. I want to get in the bathtub. And maybe those things just can't work out for you and you get really upset about it. So I want to just sit down and talk to you guys about that. Okay, so I found this birth plan online that I saw that someone had made, and it looks really great. So I wanted to pick this specifically because I see a lot of these types of requests on here a lot. So let's jump into it. First, it talks about the environment. So this lady would like it to be encouraging and relaxing. She wants to be out of bed and walking, wants to play music. That's all fine. I think that's great. That's doable. When we're talking about getting out of the bed and walking part, it depends on if you're early in labor, if you're in active labor, if you have any medical reasons, like if you're being induced and you have maybe a medical reason for induction that we need to, keep you on the monitor. A lot of people I know may think that they want to be up walking around away from the monitors. And let me just go ahead and say from our hospital specifically, we use monitors that are attached to the actual monitor. They're not wireless. I know some hospitals have that, we do not. So we're super limited when we can let people actually walk around if they also need to be continuously monitored, okay? So they can walk around around the side of the bed as long as the monitors can still reach them. It is quite a long cord. However, that is a limitation. I know a lot of other people do request to have intermittent monitoring. Also, it's up to your provider if they're okay with that. Where you're at in your labor process, how your baby is looking is a huge part in that, okay? So let's say we get you on and we're doing, let's say, like a 20-minute NST, and baby is not looking well the way that we would like for a baby to look. So we would probably keep you on longer and may keep you on continuous at that point. There's a lot of variables that go into this, okay? So it's really just going to depend on your situation specifically and your provider. That's why, again, at the beginning of the video, I said, please be open-minded. There's a lot of variables to these types of things, okay? Another point that she touched on was minimal vaginal exams. That's fine. We typically don't like to check you super often anyways, especially if your water's broken, because then that puts you at high risk for infection. So we're not, checking you like every 1 to 2 hours or something like that, Another thing that this lady mentioned that I've seen quite a bit is minimal traffic in and out of the room. We do try that as much as we can. However, like I said, every situation is a little bit different. So let's say if we need to keep you on the monitor and your baby keeps coming off the monitor, you will see your nurse keep coming in the room to adjust that monitor. And I know that can get annoying, but that is ultimately to keep you and your baby safe, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. We do try to do cluster care as much as we're able to, but in labor and delivery, again, there's just so much unknown that can possibly go on and happen during the laboring process that causes us to come back into the room. So keep that in mind. let's see. She mentions induction measures in this birth plan. I see this all the time. No Pitocin, no side attack. First off, let's talk about Pitocin, what that is. So Pitocin is a medication that is given through your IV to help bring on contractions, to make them stronger, closer together, to create cervical change. That is the definition of labor, cervical change. So let's say that you come in and you came into the hospital and you're already in labor, and let's say for whatever reason you're just not progressing as well. That might be a time where your provider may want to talk to you about Pitocin to kind of help move things along. There's a lot of reasons why we would possibly talk to you about Pitocin. If you're in induction and your cervix is in a good position to be able to start Pitocin, that's another reason. They also say no side attack. Again, that's more so if you were not very dilated, your cervix was a little bit more thicker. Side attack is another method of induction that we could use for that type of a situation, but just try to be open, listen to what your provider is saying, what's going on with you and your situation specifically, for what they are recommending and why we use these types of things, okay? So another thing that I wanted to hit on about Pitocin, there is also Pitocin that we use for after delivery. It's called Postpartum Pitocin. It's a different mixture of Pitocin basically. So there's your induction Pitocin, your postpartum Pitocin, which we highly recommend that everybody gets, and we do that as standard of care after delivery, and that helps minimize your bleeding at that point, okay? We don't want to sit there and have create any other complications for you, especially after you just had your baby and now you're bleeding, when we could just be giving you Pitocin to be on top of that bleeding, okay? So that's literally for your safety. And Pitocin, you know, is basically a synthetic oxytocin that your body makes on its own. We just, you know, give you more of it because, and a lot of times, the amount that your body is creating, sometimes it's not adequate enough to do what it needs to be doing. Okay, another topic that this lady talks about is during delivery, she wants to breathe the baby out. So, we do want you to breathe, but let's talk about that for a second. You do have to push. Like, you can't just, I'm not quite sure what this person is saying right here. And I have seen several different types of things like this on people's birth plan. Let's talk about how you have to push your baby out, okay? So you take a nice big deep breath, and you bear down in your bottom, and you push for 10 seconds. We usually tell you to for about three times per each contraction, okay? I've also seen where someone just wanted their baby to like push its way out. That's usually not a thing, especially if you're a first-time mom. That baby doesn't just like deliver itself. So you have to put in some work. You do typically have to push a little bit. Just a heads up if you didn't know that. There's another one on here that she talks about. She wants to do a water birth. Okay, first talk to your hospital, see if they do that, see if that's a thing. That is not a thing in my hospital. So wherever it is that you plan on delivering, reach out to them, see what their policy is, see what they do. Typically that's something that they would do at a birthing center. Let's see, what else does she have on here? I would like to help catch and deliver my baby. I think that's great. And there are many situations where the provider is able to allow you to do that. It really, again, just depends on what is going on at that point during the delivery. I mean, if something is going not as planned and we're having some complications, then maybe we can't let you do that. But if everything is going well, I think that that should be fine. Just, you know, bring that up with your provider and let them know that if possible, I would like to do that. Pain management. This is always a big one. First off, okay, if you plan on going and having a natural delivery, please take some classes. Do not come in with a sheet of paper and say, I want to go natural. The end. I see so many people that do that, and I'm like, did you take any classes? Are you prepared for this? And they're like, no, I just want to wing it. And I'm like, that is not something that you wing. First off, I don't care who you are. That is not something that you just can go into, especially if you're coming in for an induction and you're not already in labor and we're having to physically push your body into labor and you just go, I'm just gonna be natural. I'm sorry to say that's probably really not gonna work out for you. Just being completely honest and realistic and giving you realistic expectations, okay? Labor and delivery is one of the hardest things that your body will go through and that you will endure, okay? It is a massive amount of pain. I'm not here to butter it up and fluff anything up. I'm here to tell you how it is. You have to be prepared for that. And I'm not trying to scare you and say you can't do that. You absolutely can do that. You have to be prepared though. You can't just walk in with it being on a sheet of paper and say, bam, did it. Because probably not going to happen and you're going to be really upset. Okay, you got to put in the work. I would recommend definitely having a support person. That is huge. A doula would be great as well. But yeah, take some classes, guys. Be prepared. Learn some breathing techniques, meditation, whatever it is that you need to do. Go to your happy place. Learn those things. Learn those techniques. I've also seen a lot of people in the birth plan say that they don't want medication, that they do not want to be asked. So this is what I typically do. I will, when I'm first introducing myself as your nurse and I see that as on your birth plan, I will say, okay, I just want to go ahead and just give you food for thought just so that you have information to make the most informed decision with. And I'm going to leave it at that. If you do decide that this gets too much for you and that you do want an epidural, keep in mind sometimes at some hospitals it can take up to an hour to get your epidural. There are things that we have to do to prep you. We also have to make sure that our anesthesia is available and ready to come up and do your epidural. Okay, so don't wait until you are like, I'm dying, I can't do it anymore, and think we can just immediately come in and do it. Like, there's things that we have to do. So it just breaks my heart if someone doesn't know that information and they are like, can't handle it anymore and they have to potentially wait another hour. So I want you to at least know that, and then you get to decide what it is that you do with that. Okay, I'm not going to sit there and bug you about it, but I do want you to at least know that. Let's see, what else do we have on here about pain management? Birth affirmations of a distraction, that's totally fine. Breathing meditation, as I mentioned. Birthing ball, I think that's great. Showering, again, it really depends on what's going on in your labor at that point, whether or not you're in early labor, active labor, what's going on with you and your baby. Talk to your provider, see if that's something that can be done at that point. Visitors. Okay, so, you know, because COVID, it's really changed our visitor policy. I'm going to say for right now, as I'm filming this video in September of 2022, that in my hospital, I cannot speak for others because I have heard different visitor policies for different hospitals. But keep in mind that you probably aren't going to have a bunch of people being able to come in and out of the room because of COVID. It's still a thing, and I don't see them uplifting a change in visitor policy like it was pre-COVID. So like at my hospital, it's only 2 visitors per person and you can't switch in and out. So go ahead and just call wherever it is that you plan on delivering and seeing what their visitor policy is, and then deciding what you want to do with that information, who you want to be there. That's what I would recommend you do. Okay guys, last section, post-delivery. Let's read this. Okay. Please perform all assessments and procedures in front of me. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know, I'm assuming that this lady is talking about assessments and procedures as far as baby's concerned. We typically do. The only time, at least at my hospital, because I'm only speaking to my hospital where I work at and I have knowledge about, so call your hospital where you plan on delivering to see, I guess, what their policies, procedures are. But we only have a procedural nursery. We will only take your baby to the nursery if they need to be seen by the pediatrician or baby needs further evaluation, a reason like that. Otherwise, baby is with you the whole time. And we do most of everything in the room with you. And when we do take baby to the procedure nursery, either you or dad or both of you can go and look out the window. There should be a window at all nurseries, at least my understanding. Okay, they want to have their support person cut the cord. that's totally fine. We absolutely do let you do that. The only time where we may not is, again, there's an emergency. We've got to get that baby seen to our NICU and respiratory team right away. That would be a situation where that may go out the window. It really depends on your provider and what's going on with your situation. So again, be open-minded of that. They want to do skin to skin. Absolutely, we love that. We will recommend you do that. Again, the only time we wouldn't do that is if something's going on with the baby and baby is not crying and doing what he or she is supposed to be doing. We would probably go take baby to the warmer for further evaluation. Please wait until the cord stops pulsating. Okay, to cut. So I see this a lot. What we recommend typically is a delayed cord clamping. Okay, so basically what that means is that we wait at least a minute, typically a minute, and then clamp the cord. Okay, so that is what is recommended. Typically we don't do longer than that. Talk to your provider if you want to go longer, see what their thoughts are. That's just what is standard, at least at my hospital. But yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. As you're, again, if I haven't said this enough, when you're making your birth plan, be open-minded. Talk to your provider about what you want in your delivery. And when you go to the hospital, talk to the provider who's on call for that shift and saying, this is what I want. See what's doable, see what's not doable. Get everybody in the know. That's your best outcome. And that gets everybody aware and gets you prepared for all the possibilities. Here's another one. Please no Methergin to reduce hemorrhage unless absolutely necessary. We're not giving you extra medication like that unless you are bleeding. We are worried. We don't hand it out like Skittles, guys. We give everyone, like I said, the postpartum Pitocin because that is standard and it is proven and as evidence to help reduce postpartum hemorrhage, which we don't want for you. We don't give you extra stuff though. Like if you are bleeding and it's concerned, we are concerned about it, then yes, we may, if you're a candidate for the Methergin, then we would give it to you, or maybe we would give Cytotec. That is another medication that can be used for postpartum hemorrhage or whatever it is that we may need to do. We're not just, going to give it to you just because whatever. I mean, there's got to be a reason behind it, y'all. So yes, it must be necessary. Another thing on here that I see all the time now, which blows me away. People come in and they say, I don't want baby to have any medications. And I'll tell you, and I'll tell them, okay, these are what medications? And they go, I just don't want any of them. And I'm like, okay. So these are the medications, and I'll tell them, we've got the Hep B, we've got the vitamin K, and the erythromycin. Do you know what any of these are? Don't want them. And I'm like, can I at least tell you what they are so you know what it is that you're refusing? And so, I mean, because I feel like if you're going to refuse something, can you at least, be knowledgeable about what you're refusing? I mean, I at least have the duty to tell you that. So vitamin B, Hep B, goodness. Hep B is our startup of childhood immunization, basically. They do recommend to start at birth, but if you want to wait until you go to your pediatrics office with your newborn baby, you can do that too. You can do that there. If you don't want to do any vaccines, period, that's fine. But keep in mind that if you plan on sending your kid to any type of public school at any point there in their life, you will have to have all these vaccinations. Just food for thought. Vitamin K, that's a clotting factor that babies are not born with. This one is so super important, okay? It's a synthetic version of vitamin K, but listen, babies are not born with vitamin K. And if your baby has a traumatic delivery, which, I mean, being delivered is a traumatic process on baby, okay? If they have any type of internal bleeding, the vitamin K gives them the clotting factors to be able to help stop that. So super important to have. We highly recommend it. And you do have to sign a refusal form if you don't want it, okay? Saying that we told you what this is and you still said no, that we offered it to you and we informed you what it is that you're saying no to. Lastly, the erythromycin. Also, this is recommended. It's an eye antibiotic cream, basically goes into the eyes to protect baby against infection. There is a lot of bacteria and things that baby may encounter on his or her way out into the world. And some of those infections may cause blindness. So we would like to prevent that and give your baby the erythromycin ointment to be able to stop that from happening. So those are things that we recommend. Again, you have to sign a refusal form for that too, because we do recommend that you get it. No, you do not have to get any of these things, but you do have to say that you understand that you're refusing it. Anyways, that's my little spiel on that, because I have so many people who come in and say they don't know what it is, or I'll have people literally come in and tell me, TikTok told me not to get Pitocin. And I'm like, when did TikTok start becoming the OBGYN? Or, Lord, please do not let TikTok be your educator. Like, good Lord, please talk to your OB and your nurses and stuff. Please, not TikTok. One more thing I wanted to hit on that I don't think I saw on here that I do see a lot is I'll see people saying that they don't want an IV and they don't want to be hooked up to fluids. Let me just tell you why we have people do this. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot of unknown in labor and delivery. If things start to go south and let's say baby's saying, I don't like delivery, y'all, or I'm sorry, I don't like the labor process, I'm not having a good time, and we need to be able to intervene quickly, we need to already have an IV in place, because we can start giving you fluids or whatever medications that we need to help fix the problem. And if we don't have an IV going, then we are super set back in trying to help intervene. Okay, so that really delays the process of us helping care for you, which is an issue. If we don't already have fluids going, and again, like if you're in early labor, we probably don't have fluids going. It is also dependent upon your provider in your hospital, but there are many cases that I see that don't have fluids going yet just because you're in early labor. Maybe there's not much going on at the point, but when you get in active labor, it is recommended that you do have those fluids going. So again, so we can intervene quickly if baby's saying, I don't like this labor process, guys, or let's say you deliver quickly and you're bleeding, we need to be able to have an IV in so that we can, again, intervene quickly. If we're having to stop and get an IV and you're still, let's say, post-delivery and you're bleeding, it makes it a little bit more harder to intervene, okay? So there's many reasons why we want to have an IV. It is to help you and to keep you safe, okay? It's not to be mean to you. Nothing that we do is to be mean to you. It's to keep you and your baby safe. That's our number one goal, is to have a healthy and safe baby and mama. Okay, sorry, I know that was a lot. I hope I touched on a lot of maybe things that are on your birth plan, or things that you have thought about putting on your birth plan, or things that you've heard or seen, or maybe you have heard from TikTok and maybe I've helped enlighten you. I don't know. I hear some crazy things nowadays, so I really felt compelled to just sit down, talk to you guys about a birth plan, what is realistic, what is not, and just giving you information to make good informed decisions for you and your baby. Okay, I hope you like this video. Please like, comment, subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye.